this book. Like, I've read it a couple of times, and I have listened to the audio I don't know how many times, because I have that book on my phone, this book on my phone. And so lots of times when I'm walking, I might pull up chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, just listening to it, because there's so much wisdom in this book, you guys. And don't you just love how good things are birthed out of adversity? Like, if you look at Eric War's story in the very first, in the foreword, and he was really on the verge of giving up because of the struggle that he had. Yet he decided, he figured it out, he had that aha moment, and now what he's doing with that is helping all of us figure it out too. So I love that. So that's what I love, is that everything that we learn and everything that we grow from in life comes from pressure, guys. So, I was just chatting with somebody yesterday, and I said, I think that what we need to recognize in our business is we got to get really comfortable with a couple of things. One is we need to get comfortable with hearing the word no. And the other one is we need to get comfortable with the concept that people aren't going to always do it. They're not going to always stick it out. People will quit, because that's just the name of the game. If somebody is not willing to develop and learn a skill set, they're going to get frustrated and move on. And that's where Eric was at. And we all know his story, you guys. Hopefully you guys read it. In January of 1988, that was the year I graduated from high school. So seeing that he was 23, he's not that much older than me. And but he was introduced to the industry of network marketing through his dad and his dad's friends. Well, his dad and his friend were very successful in real estate. Eric was selling real estate. And his first response was no. Like, no, heck no. That was like my first response, right? But when they said they were going to do it, he's like, okay, well, of course I'll do it. I'll do it too. And, but his idea was I love this. His idea was, I'm going to call all my dad's contacts before my dad calls them. And then basically I'm going to tell them that, well, my dad's doing it, so you should do it too, but join my team. And I love that that's kind of where his head was, because that's where he was thinking. And I think that happens a lot in our business. I will chat with some people and like, if I can get so-and-so, or if I can get this person, if I can get this person to join my business, then I'm going to be good. And what happens? The people that we think will do our business are usually the people that don't do it.
It's bothering y'all. I could pull my, I don't have do you have any headphones?
Okay, there she's. Sorry about that. So the people that we think will join us, usually the ones that don't. And usually, you guys, it's the people that we least expect. And especially, it's going to be a lot of strangers as well. And those are always what we least expect, because we always think, I don't know enough people, or this or that. And it's just helping us get into a different mindset. So he goes on to talk about how, well, on page 1IX, I'm not sure what that is, but he says, so 3 months after I got started, my network marketing income dried right up. And when it did, my positive attitude completely went away. I started to blame everything and everyone for my lack of success. My upline wasn't giving me enough help. The company didn't provide adequate training. I didn't know enough people. No one would respect me because I was so young. I blamed the product. I blamed the company. I blamed the economy. I blamed everyone but myself. He said, but I had a big problem. Blaming the world wasn't helping pay my bills. And I had walked away from real estate after that first commission check. It was going to take too long to get a real estate commission. I had no college degree, so getting a decent paying job was out of the question. The only place I could go was to create some cash flow, was back to my business in network marketing. So then he says, I put my head down and went to work. At first, it wasn't easy. In fact, in my first 3 years, I rebuilt my organization 7 times. I'd build it up, it'd crash. I'd build it up, it would crash over and over again. And he continued to get more discouraged, you guys. One thing I like to point out about this is I like the fact that he went all in. He went all in his network marketing business. He didn't give himself a back door. So it forced him to figure out what that next step was. But I really want to address something that I just read in that upper paragraph, you guys, when he started to get frustrated and he started to blame. We talk about this all the time in our industry, is we need to never be in a blaming mode. A blaming mode gets us nowhere, you guys. And so it's so important that we take a really long look at that list of things he was blaming. My upline wasn't giving me enough help. The company didn't provide adequate training. I didn't know enough people. I blamed the product. I blamed the company, the economy, everything. I mean, think about any time that you've been frustrated with your business. Where does your head go? And we want to make sure that this is an area, like let's just say this is a good gut check. This is where we want to really get a good gut check and check our heart on maybe where our head goes when we get frustrated. You know, let's say you see that something is on back order or it's not in stock. And maybe you didn't like the new product launch at GTC and you thought, how am I going to build this business? They took away what I like. You know, it's all those areas we can get really slightly into a blaming mode. And before you know it, you guys, you're into a full-on justifying everything. And that takes us completely out of a building mode. It takes us so far to the right that it's crazy how far we forget what we were even in this for. And so my challenge to all of us is to really evaluate what Eric was struggling with, because the reason why we have his book to learn from is because he figured it out. So getting out of that concept is going to be great. And so we read later on that he was watching a TV show, a program, and they were talking about how does a person become an expert on a topic? And you get to know it as well as possible as you can. You build a skill set, you work and you practice until you have that, till you're like a professional at it. And the next day he went to the company convention and he watched, just like we do at GTC when we watch all those rock stars walk across the stage, new MVPs, new RVPs, $1 Million Club, the trip earners, all the amazing things that we see. And it hit him like lightning. It clicked. And he said, if I become an expert at network marketing, I could focus on the skills and I could practice until I become an expert and no one could stop me. He said, up until that moment, I was always looking for an angle. I was hoping to get lucky. I was hoping to sponsor that one superstar who was going to change everything. I was scared I would lose my chance if it didn't happen soon. In an instant, everything changed. I realized I didn't have to worry about getting lucky. Timing and positioning were nice, but not necessary for long-term success. You guys, I really want to point this out really quick. It's not a luck thing. Like, there's no such thing as luck, in my opinion. There is preparation and opportunity. And when opportunity meets up with preparation, you see luck. And what happens is we see someone become successful and we think, it was timing. It was just their timing. They were at the right spot at the right time. No. There was a lot of buildup that you didn't see or I didn't see that was going on behind the scenes. A lot of phone calls, a lot of appointments, a lot of things were happening that maybe we don't see on Facebook, but was happening in that person's business to where that positioned them at the right time. I remember a gal on my team who was really struggling. She was a struggling district, and she would call me and try to figure out all these different things that were wrong, and she just wasn't prepared. And whenever she made a decision, she went home. She didn't have anything prepared to do a presentation. She didn't have, prospecting package or anything. She wasn't prepared for her business. She went home, literally got prepared, got on the phone, booked a full calendar, and then boom, her business just started growing overnight. She got prepared, she got her head right, and she was ready for success. Ask yourself, and I like to ask myself, am I prepared for that? Am I ready to sponsor my next ace? Am I prepared? Do I know what I'm going to sit and walk them through? You guys, we need to mentally go through those things. That's what luck is. Luck is preparation meeting up with opportunity, you guys, and we need to be prepared. And we only become an expert when we study and we get better at it. It's like you think about your day job or whatever you went to college to go to and whatever you've done in your life, in your day job. We work hard to develop the skill sets to get good at it. But for whatever reason, when we join a network marketing business, for whatever reason, we lose this idea or concept that we've got to develop skill sets. And so one of my favorite things that you're going to read on in this book is when Eric points out that if you have somebody that's just stuck and they're not going anywhere, it's not the person above them, but it's just the lack of wanting to develop a skill set to get better in that area. So you guys, we all know where our strengths are, and we all know where we might struggle in this business. If you struggle with a close, then watch and listen to every training you could possibly get your hands on or how to close a presentation. If you struggle with your iStory, then you find somebody to ask for help to develop your iStory and get it better, and then practice it until like you can say it 1,000,000 times over. And then that way, whenever you need to add somebody's story into your story, it's going to be easy peasy. whatever that area is. If you struggle with talking to new people, listen to every training you can get your hands on about how to listen to new people or talk to new people, and then practice it, practice it, practice it. That's how we develop skill sets. We develop skill sets by doing something over and over again and learning and listening from those who are going to teach us how to do it. So this is how this book came about, you guys. And so I'm excited to dive into chapter 1. And I guess I should take a look at my notes. I totally haven't even done that. Okay. So basically, Eric was spinning his wheels until he figured that out, you guys, which is what I love. So we're going to talk about how to do this. So chapter 1, network marketing isn't perfect. It's just better. I love that. I will tell you guys, my favorite thing that he talks about is the perfect career list. And if you think about the perfect career list, I mean, I hope you guys maybe, and you know what, his list is really, really good, but maybe you have your own list. And what does that look like? You know, it's like, I love to ask that question. If time and money weren't an issue, what would you be doing? Or if you could describe the perfect future. You guys, if you ask this to young college students today, millennials, or even high school students, when they describe what they would love to have, what they describe is network marketing. They just don't realize it, because what they want is, I want a boss, but I don't want him to be like a boss. I want him to be more like a mentor. I want to be able to choose the hours that I work. I want to be able to have freedom to take a vacation whenever I want. I want to be able to have people around me that are going to build me up. And I mean, everything that they list off is our industry. And so there are lots of people looking for this, but most people have never thought to ask themselves, what does the perfect career look like? Because we all know what we don't want, which is why he said people usually start naming the things they don't want. Like, they don't want a boss, they don't want to commute, they don't want an alarm clock, no employees, no politics, no compromises, no discrimination, no educational requirement. So that's what people, we all want that. And it's funny, I think it's really funny, you guys, maybe you've noticed this too. We all love the idea of not having a boss, but because, you know, I would say 90% of the population has an employee mindset. You know, my parents didn't raise me from the ground up to teach me how to be an entrepreneur. I had to learn and develop that skill set to learn that. So most of us have an employee mindset. An employee mindset needs somebody to tell them what to do. So when we build a network marketing business, that's an area that has to change. And so we have to be, learn to motivate ourselves. And no, we get to the point where we don't need to have somebody to motivate us. So if you feel like I got to get a hold of my upline so she can motivate me, I need her to motivate me. That's an area that can be a skill set. That can be a skill set. You can learn that skill and learn how to motivate yourself. It's great that we have our uplines to encourage us, but that's also an area that we can grow in as well. So hopefully you had a chance to write down you guys' perfect career list. And then I love the way he takes this. Like, I feel like this chapter, especially chapter 1, is so good when you're chatting with folks. So when you're talking with folks that maybe they're like, and they love their job, they love their work, but you know they'd be amazing at this business, ask them that question. What would be your perfect career list? I know you love what you do, but you watch them and you watch them work 80, 90 hours a week. They don't have options to, be fully present with their kids. You see all these things, you see all these factors why this would work. Ask that question about their perfect career list, because most people would say, I want to do what I do, but have the choice to be with my family whenever I want. And then you can ask, is that possible with the job that you have? Well, no, but what if I could show you a better way that allows you to have the kind of job that you love and what you enjoy doing, helping others, but it also combines time flexibility and time freedom. And you guys, to be really honest, most people don't think that exists, because if you were like me, I had never looked at the industry of network marketing as an option of anything I wanted to do. So I didn't understand all that. So that's what happens with a lot of people who are very successful in lots of different things. If they haven't looked at this industry as a viable option, because it might look like Carleeta thought that Martha, it was like a hobby for her. She didn't realize that the white Mercedes she was driving around in her neighborhood was something the company was paying her to drive. From her side, she saw her as a stay-at-home mom, and oh, that's so cute that she's got a little hobby called Arbonne, and she sells to her neighbors and friends. That's great. I'll buy from her. That's the way a lot of people see our industry. And so helping them to see this concept, I love the way he breaks down the different professions that we have today. So he goes through And he talks about, you know, we have blue collar workers. He talks about first, which is traditionally manual labor. And then he asks, does the perfect career list line up to a blue collar worker? No, it doesn't. Then he goes to white collar workers, which are traditionally administrative, corporate America, working in a cubicle, and asks the question, you just take that perfect career list and line it up to the white collar worker. No, it doesn't line up either. It doesn't give you that. Then he talks about sales and the sales force, and sales, it's interesting because he talks about how it's a great career. You can make a lot of money, but yet it's going to take a lot of time. Doesn't give you that time freedom, and it's all based upon your company. And if they decide to change up some of those things so that they're making more money off of you, it makes a big difference. And so usually in the sales industry, you're going to find some people who make a really good income, but then look at how many hours a week they work. I remember one time I was at an Arbonne presentation with a gal, and this is years ago, and she was comparing her line of work with my line of work, and she was in pharmaceutical sales. And she's like, I get a company car. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I have a company car too. And she's like, I get corporate trips. I go on all these vacations. I'm like, that's great. And she's like, and I get these perks and these perks, and I make a good living. And I was a regional vice president at the time. I'm like, that's awesome. And where I had her is, I said, how many hours a week do you work? And she told me, and I'm like, oh, well, that's where we're different. And that's not the only difference, you guys. But, you know, being able to build a team and being able to teach and train others to do what I do, those were some of the big differences too. But it was, for her, it was the time consumption compared to her 70 hours a week to my 15 to 20 hours a week. And that was where a big difference was. But that's going to be in the sales industry, is going to be a big one with the time. The traditional business ownership, I mean, my goodness, this is a doozy, you guys, because it's great to own your own business, but where this doesn't line up is also a time issue. It has a lot to do, and I love that he points out when somebody, you know, is so good at what they do and they decide, well, then I'm going to build this business around it. Then they end up getting into the politics and all the drama, and then they lose sight of what they originally started that business for. But also, you guys, it's not just that. I was just talking to Carleeta the other day, and we were talking about their business that they just sold and the differences between traditional and network marketing. You know, in traditional business, you guys, if you're not there, present, working, then it could all come crumbling down. You know, you think about anybody who owns a business, the business usually owns them. Whereas in network marketing, you guys, it's completely different. But there's the startup cost, there's the tax cost, there's so many other factors that boil into that. So even the traditional business ownership does not line up to the perfect career. And then, of course, there's investments, you guys, and even that one doesn't line up. So basically, Eric Ward takes everything out there and lines it up against his perfect career list. And that's why this chapter is something that I really want to encourage you guys to read over and over and over again, because it's going to give you really great information when you are out prospecting, when you're sharing and talking about our business. And you guys, I would have to say that one of the things that I have grown the most in my 13 and a half years in this business is in asking questions. Get really good at asking questions. You know, one of my favorite questions, I always start with, do you mind if I share a few things that I've learned over the last few years about this? I just always start with, do you mind if I open the door and talk about this? It's great because it's very rare that anybody says no. I mean, actually, I've never had anybody say no. The only time I've had people kind of like, because when I sit on an airplane, I always say, are you coming or going? And I had this girl one time that literally took her earphones and put them on her head, shut her eyes and leaned her head back. I'm like, okay, I got my answer. She doesn't want to talk. That's okay. It would like help to pass the time, but I'm all good with that. So just get really good at asking questions. But I really want to go to page 13, you guys. If you move to page 13 in the book, let me get to my page 13. I was like really far off. Okay. One of the things that he points out, and I think this is so important, and in my notes, I'm like, need to know. The old models of compensation are dead or dying, and we're going through the biggest economic shift in any of our lifetimes. You guys, it has been obvious as a mom, as a parent, to watch, even with my kids, the way it was when I was young and my parents were young. You go to school, You get a great job. You can work at that great job for 40, 50 years, maybe not that long, 30, 40 years. And you get a great retirement. Like my father-in-law passed away a few years ago, and my mother-in-law she's set for life because he worked for the government or the state of California for so many years that he has a really, really, really killer retirement. And that's one of those traditional things that was solid and in stone, but it's not that way anymore. I remember a friend of mine who worked for this really great company, and she was one of their top people. And I mean, she was doing really, really well. And then just like that, she calls me, she goes, "You're not going to believe it. I just got fired." And they replaced her with 2 people that they could pay way less. And that's the economic climate of today. Everybody's expendable. There is no such thing anymore as that guaranteed job, right? But what is cool about our industry, you guys, is our industry just continues to grow. And if your business, my business, is dependent upon what I decide to do, not what somebody decides whether or not I'm expendable or not. And you guys remember, we're so solid because we're with this 37-and-a-half-year-old company who is just getting started with global expansion. That's something I point out to everybody I talk to. We're just getting started in global expansion, and where we're going is going to be everywhere, totally global. So imagine getting started. Really, that's like, when we always talk about if you knew about Google before Google was Google. That's one of these opportunities still, you guys, because that's where, like Amway, they're everywhere globally. And so we're just getting started in that. So it's an exciting time to be a part of this climate change. And people are starting to see it, you guys. People know that there are different things. And it's just like when I'm talking to somebody about their nutrition, and I'm like, wouldn't you agree? Wouldn't you agree that things are way different today than 25 years ago? And most people tell me yes to that too, because, you look at, I remember as a kid, my mom had a friend who had MS, and that's the only person we knew who had MS. But today I can name off people on both hands and feet, my husband's both hands and feet, of people who have an autoimmune disease. Well, that's because our nutrition climate has changed as well. So there's so many shifting things that are making it a perfect time and opportunity for Arbonne for us to go out there. So he talks about the new economy, you guys, and the difference of what that looks like. And companies are going to oh my gosh, I totally dropped that in my head. A compensation-based, performance-based salary. And that is going to change a lot of things for the way people see things. And it's going to totally change the way we see things, but it really sets us up to have a great opportunity to build this business. So on page 15, why is this happening? Why is it happening? 1, it's a better model for the company. They'll get better results with less expense. And 2, the new economy needs fewer people, so the company has more people competing for fewer and fewer jobs. So basically, jobs are going away. The companies are shrinking down. I remember my cousin, who is a retired colonel in the Air Force, when he was the commander of Tinker, he told me, he goes, "I'm doing the job that 200 men did in the 80s. And I'm like, no way, that's crazy. But even in the military, that's happening. So it's happening all around us, which this gives us that great segue to talk to people about our business as well. People have to open their eyes to this reality, you guys. So let's share, and get more, because network marketing is better. Like Eric Ware says, it might not be perfect, but it is better. And so in the middle of page 17, I want to read this. More and more companies will choose to use network marketing because it fits the new economy. They can provide all the corporate support and pay distributors on a purely performance basis to promote their products. It's extremely efficient because in the new economy, word-of-mouth advertising continues to work better than any other form of promotion. The company can just take the money they would have spent on advertising promotion and pay it to their distributors to spread the word. What this means for you and I as an entrepreneur is that you can receive all the benefits of traditional business ownership without the typical risks. There will be no cap on your income because network marketing companies want you to make as much as possible. If you're going to be paid for performance, why live with the cap? Think about it, you guys, as you have conversations with folks. This is where companies are headed. Why not be a part of an industry that's going to pay you better, have flexibility, and reward you in a way bigger way? But I want to say what he talks about as I wrap up this call, because I think it's really important. Because you know how people will say things to us like, this sounds too good to be true. Like, this totally sounds too good to be true. And I love what he says, the catch to network marketing on page 18. With all sounds great, and it is, but there's a catch. And what most people won't tell you, here it is. You must accept a temporary loss of social esteem from ignorant people. Okay, so I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And he has a chapter in that book about the industry of network marketing. And this is what he says. And I'm paraphrasing because this is a long time ago. It's been in my head forever. But he says, if you decide to build and grow a network marketing business and you become very successful at it, he says you will grow more as a human being and more spiritually than in any other endeavor you take. And this is why he says this. He says, and I'll tell you why. It's because you can't care what people think. Like, you have to get beyond the concept of, well, oh, what is she going to say? What is he going to say? You have to get beyond that. He goes, because you will have people who think you're crazy. You will have people who think you've lost your mind. You guys, some of the comments that I received when I started my network marketing business were nuts. I got called some really bad things. I mean, as a woman who's been in ministry for many years, there were some harmful things said of me, even in my faith. They were harsh. They were mean. I'm not going to lie. It was really difficult. But that's why I stress so much in helping people develop a why that goes deeper than just having some money to shop at the mall. You got to know that you know that you know that you're here for a reason. And that conviction will get you past everybody's opinion. But knowing ahead of time, when we tell people, I tell people, brand new people, I'm like, listen, I just got to tell you, there are going to be a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but there will be people who think you're crazy. And what I want to really encourage you to remember is ask yourself when they say, what? You're going to build one of those? That's nuts. I can't believe, look at all of your college degrees you have. You're so successful. Why would you do that? Ask yourself this is what I say. If somebody doesn't agree with you, ask yourself, gosh, have they ever built a successful network marketing business? Oh, I don't even think they've ever done network marketing. Well, gosh, I wonder where their opinion is coming from. Encourage people to ask themselves that, to remember that, you guys, because listen, if I wanted to sell my house, I'm not going to ask my doctor to list my house. So I'm only going to get advice from people who know what they're talking about. And it's just like I wouldn't go to my OBGYN and ask for tax advice, right? Unless she was like a CPA at the same time. So it's just important to remember that. So he says that means for a while, people still living in and trying to function in the old system will think less of you. They won't understand and they'll think you're crazy for being involved in network marketing. And actually the word accept isn't completely accurate. You need to do more than that. You need to embrace the temporary loss of social esteem from ignorant people. You are seeing the future because it becomes apparent to everyone else. You are the smart one. You are the person taking action to live a better life. There is a reason why people will think less of you. It's not just because they are stuck in the old system. Let me see if I can help you better understand this, because if you decide to make network marketing proficient, it's important to know most people have either joined a network marketing company or they know someone who has. And this is what's going through the mind of virtually every person who decides to get involved. I can think of 5 or 6 people who might do this too. My sister would be great. My friend loves this kind of thing. I know this person who would be amazing. Okay, I'll join. In other words, they're not joining a profession. They're just hoping to get lucky. You guys, I love this chapter because it answers every reason why we see what happens in the first 90 days of people's business, because this is the concept that most people have. If I get so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so, oh yeah, that would be perfect. But as soon as so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so doesn't happen, what happens, you guys? People quit. They walk away. People are looking for something where they could literally sit back and ride on the coattails of other people. And this is why most people quit. They haven't even started a real business. They just purchased a glorified lottery ticket. Imagine a lottery ticket with 6 scratch-off spots. Those spots represent each of the people the new person thinks will certainly join. They approach those people and try to get them to join, and because of the lack of skill, most of them end up with nothing, just like the lottery ticket. This becomes just another lost opportunity, and since they acted in an unskilled ignorance, they have even damaged some friendships as well. They rip up the ticket instead of taking responsibility. They blame network marketing and make sure to tell the world, look, I've been there. I've done it. I've talked to every person I know, and network marketing just doesn't work. Save your money. You guys, anytime someone has like, oh, network marketing, oh yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, you must have had a bad experience. Like, tell me, I mean, did something happen, or do you know somebody who that happened to? It's like when I share my faith with somebody and they're like, oh, I hate God, whenever, and I'm like, oh gosh, you must have had a bad experience. It means the same thing, you guys. And 9 times out of 10, that's what's happened. Well, my mom sold Amway back in the 80s, and every time they invited people over to her house, they got out this chalkboard and drew circles on it, and people didn't know why they were coming to our house. They thought they were just coming to eat dinner, and I hated that. It was so embarrassing, like, I'm all, oh yeah, I get that. That would be embarrassing. Like, I don't do that. Like, you should talk to all 4 of my adult children, and they would, can give you the opportunity and tell you about the products. I always say that, like, yeah, my kids love Arbonne. It's a good sign that's what we don't do. But you guys, it's just asking questions. Tell me why. Tell me what happened. Tell me, there must be something that you experience in our industry. Maybe somebody that rubbed you the wrong way. And also too, is because maybe they had a friend who was the real pushy network marketer, and tried to enforce them to do it. And that is what's a struggle too. So really quick, you guys, I'm going to just wrap up the chapter where he talks about how he says, some people like to say perception is reality. I hate that saying. All great leaders in the world have ignored it for centuries. What if Nelson Mandela had said perception is reality, or Martin Luther King? He's like, reality is reality. I'm going to do everything possible to help people understand that fact. So you can't look at, like, I don't know. I'm a big fan. You guys know me. Every time I talk about that, I'm a big person with talking about perspective and taking things into perspective, but not staring at my circumstances in front of me. My gosh, if I looked at my circumstances in front of me, I wouldn't have done half of the things, or 3/4 of the things that we've done in our life. We've got to look at the facts, and the facts tell us that not everybody's going to jump into our business. Not everybody. I mean, we got the facts that this business is going to be mentally hard. If I have someone that I'm chatting with who's really struggling to move from point A to point B, my first question to them is, what are you reading? Get good at asking questions, you guys. I'm also reading another book by John Maxwell called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions, and it's excellent. Get good at asking questions. But I said, what are you reading? Most of the time, nothing. I'm not reading anything. I was reading that, but I haven't gone back to it. I know I really need to read. And listen, you guys, if we're not developing our mind and learning the skill sets that are required to build this business, that would be like me going up to the hospital and saying, I would like to hire me as a nurse, or I would like you to hire me as a nurse. Oh, well, let's see, where's your resume, and have you worked before, and where did you go to nursing school? I didn't go to nursing school. Well, why do you think you could be a nurse? I don't know. I watched that girl give somebody or take her blood. I think I could do that too. And when I was in the hospital, I watched how that nurse took care of me when I had my baby. I could do that. Oh, no. You need a degree. Like, you need to go to nursing school. No, I don't think I need to go to nursing school. I can be a successful nurse without going to nursing school. That is the same thing. If we think we're going to be successful without plugging in, reading the books, and developing our mind and learning the skill sets, that's what it sounds like if I'm not willing to do that. You guys, my first year in network marketing, I know there's a book called that, but I could write a book about that too. My first year in network marketing, my whole entire life altered because of how knee deep, or how I dove into the deep end of the pool, learning and developing myself and following and listening and learning. And that didn't stop. It's continued because I'm always reading and developing myself and practicing and whatever I can do to develop a skill set, even as an executive national vice president. But I remember that first year like it was yesterday, because it was hard and it hurt and it was painful. But I'm telling you what, I'm super grateful that I was willing to dive into that kind of personal growth and development, because it grew me faster. And it doesn't mean that, I will say that our willingness to develop skill sets and our willingness to take responsibility or not take responsibility is what alters our trajectory in this business. So this book is awesome. I hope, like I said, I would read chapter 1 over and over again, you guys, because it will help you as you share, but it's also going to help build your belief in this industry called network marketing, because it is an amazing industry, you guys. We have the better way. We have the better way for all those different types of employees that are out there. I was chatting with my oldest son and his girlfriend last night. We were talking about being employable, and I said, oh, I'm absolutely a non-employable person. Like, nobody could ever employ me again, because once you get the taste of this industry and what it can do for people, because it's not just what it's done for my family, that's great and that's awesome. You guys, I love the joy of helping other people. That is my absolute favorite thing about this business, is that we can be successful, but there's not a limit to how many people can be successful with us, that we get to take it and help so many others be successful. I hope that fuels you guys as we start our month of June off, and think about all the people out there that are day to day going to their job, but would love to have the freedom that we get, and would love to have the exhilaration of what it means to help other people in network marketing. So I am done, you guys, and I don't know if anybody has any questions or comments, but I can definitely answer those.